Welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. On today's video, I will be unboxing two brand new Baltany watches. Now these watches were sent in to me for free by the Octopus Kraken AliExpress store. Now this is the store that features all the Baltany watches. I don't think Baltany have their own store. Now one thing I have to say about the Baltany brand, these watches I suppose are quite underrated. They don't have a massive hype behind them on AliExpress. Only a few people know about them. And I believe they're a very unique brand, a brand that stands out in the world of homages, especially on the AliExpress site, because they do their own thing. I really like the USP. It is very unique, as it's in the name. And I think it's fantastic that they've kind of stuck to what they do. They've stayed on track, with their brand image, with that whole goal they're trying to go for, and they stick to these retro inspired military watches. And it's very clear that the person behind Baltany is a watch enthusiast. A lot of the times, unfortunately, the guys that make these watches on AliExpress that we review, you can clearly tell that the person behind it doesn't have a clue, just wants to make the money, and they bring a watch out, that they think is the best thing. That's why you have some really glaring errors. But with Baltany, you've got this very precise kind of thinking behind it. They all stick to that theme, and I think they deserve a special shout out for that. I really like what they do, even though I'm not a massive retro military watch fan. However, I can definitely appreciate them from a brand perspective. And from a lot of the brands out there, they bear some of the classical hallmarks of a good micro brand. So that being said, you can find the whole range on Octopus Ali Kraken store. They are a very reasonable price as well. They're not overpriced. Yes, prices across the board seem to be creeping up slightly, but they do some really good, stunning watches. Now, these two are no different. Let's have a look at what we have. And as you can see, they are both retro-inspired chronographs. And they're quite similar in terms of, the function, the form, but yet they are quite different in the way they look. Let's look at the one in my right hand. So this is the Baltany model number S5034. This comes in three different colors. The first color being this white enamel dial that I have in my hand. And they also do a retro black, which is a reverse panda dial. And they also do a off-white panda dial. So you've got three nice colors, again, giving you that vintage aesthetic. And this uses the Seiko VK64 quartz movement, so it gives you great performance, great accuracy, very reliable, a pick up and go watch. Usually, with these style of watches, they come in a few different variants of the Seiko VK64, whether it's a VK63, or you get the column wheel mechanical hand winding chronograph movement. So I like the gone for a quartz one because it's just that much easier. And the price of this model is £135, so I believe that is quite reasonably priced because the watch seems to be built quite well. And furthermore, in terms of specs, you've got a 50-meter water resistant stainless steel case construction, as you can see, screw down crown, screw down case back, and a sapphire crystal with AR coating. All that in a nice bundle, again with those vintage looks, quite unique to this brand. I think that's a pretty fair deal. Now, moving on to dimensions, let's have a quick look. It is just around 39 millimeters in terms of diameter. You've got a overall thickness of 12.8 millimeters, and that's due to this box style sapphire crystal. Just a point on that box style sapphire crystal, you can see it's quite a low low dome crystal, which I really like. It doesn't need to be that raised, but it still gives you the aesthetics of that box sapphire. And lug to lug, we're looking at 46.2 millimeters, a lug width of just 20 mil. The crown size is just under 7 mil, so quite a large crown. Pushers 5.5 either side. So it's got good dimensions, smaller wrist friendly as well. Not too big, not oversized, great proportions, and I think it's a good looking watch. Fully polished case, brushed case back. And I'm not a massive fan of fully polished watches, but this doesn't look bad at all. A nice slim bezel as well. So yeah, very nice design. Just a load of crisp, clear printing around the outside. So really interesting, this one. I believe it's loomed as well. Some nice dial options, as I said, £135. Allow me to take this back, give it a full review. So let's move on to the next one. Next one, another retro-inspired military-style chronograph. And yeah, very different to the one that we just saw. You've got a bead-blasted or a sand-blasted stainless steel case. Once again, a sapphire crystal with AR coating, but this is flat, not that box sapphire crystal. You've got screw-in pushers, screw down crown, screw down case back. Therefore, you get 100 meters of water resistance as opposed to 50 meters on the one that we saw previously. And this uses another variant of the Seiko chronograph movement. It uses the VK61, which gives you subdials at the 12 and at the 6. At 12 o'clock, you've got a 60-minute timer and running seconds at the 6. And of course, the chronograph pusher in the center. So again, very visible, extremely legible. You can see the Arabics around the dial in white, and you've got the off-white, that yellow vintage style loom application to the hands and to the hour indices. So really nice looks so far. Nice case, very smooth. So yeah, it just feels so well built. And this is what they do with all the vintage military range. I've looked at a few watches in the past from Baltany, and they don't feel cheap. They feel really well built, and as I said, there's a lot of thought gone into it, and clearly there's somebody behind Baltany that loves watches, especially these type of watches, and that's his enthusiasm there. So it's good to see that coming through onto the brand. This case is 39mm, similar to the one previously, and a thickness of, we need to get under the NATO, 12mm. So I think that's a bit thinner, right? And so look at the lug to lug, 46mm, and the lug width should be 20. Crown should be similar as the previous one, so 7.5, and these pushes are just slightly smaller at 5.3. It comes in two different options. As you can see, this NATO, there's nylon NATO, and then you've got the leather strap that the other one comes in. So straps are okay, they'll do the job, not the best, but the build quality on both watches, you can definitely feel it in hand. Baltany, I've done it again. Yeah, I really like them as a brand. I gotta say, they definitely do stand out in the world of Seiko homages and Rolex homages and all sorts. I like what they're doing, guys, I gotta say. So please check them out. I'll leave the link in the description below. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.